Yo, what's up guys? So today we are gonna see, what if Naruto had Werewolf Bloodline and got massive harem, part 1. Hope you'll enjoy this video. So before we start, go check out the author of this fanfic, BigCC, link is in the description, and also subscribe to my channel, and like this video. Let's begin the video. It was a dark night in Konoha, as a crescent moon glowed above the rooftops on this starless night. On this night a 14-year-old boy was walking home from a day at the academy, and an evening of practice with his favorite senseis. The boy was slightly short for his age, and skinny. He had bright sun-kissed blonde hair, bright cerulean blue eyes that seemed to glow in the dim light, and 3 whisker-like markings on each cheek. This boy was none other than one Naruto Uzumaki, Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Kitsune and, unknown to him, last of the wolf-blooded. Naruto was in a good mood this night, which was a rarity recently. Normally the blonde was always in a good mood no matter what happened to him, but recently he had been feeling odd. His temper had grown much shorter, he was constantly irritated, and he could swear all his senses were going crazy. When he had tried to ask Iruka-sensei about these changes, he had to sit through the dreaded birds and bees talk about shutter puberty. This had thrown Naruto for a loop. I mean, does everyone start noticing people more by their scent than looks? And what about those odd shadows he constantly sees out of the corner of his eye? However, Naruto pushed these troublesome thoughts aside until later. He was in a good mood, and he would be damned if his hormones were going to get in the way of it. Why was he in a good mood, you ask? Because tomorrow was the genin exams, and he was sure he was going to pass thanks to Iruka-sensei, and the others helping tutor him over the last year, since he had failed his first attempt last year. Though he still acted like the same knucklehead in class, he had grown immensely in the last year. He was glad that he had told the old Hokage about why he hadn't passed last year. When he had been brought to the Hokage's office to talk about his recent failure at the exams, and had explained to his surrogate grandfather about how the teachers always refused to answer his questions, or sent him out of the room for no reason, the old man had been infuriated. He had called for a full investigation into the academy, and assigned the boy 3 private tutors, to help the boy catch up after years of being sabotaged. A few moments later 2 men and a woman entered the office. One was an odd man with a bowl-cut hairdo, giant eyebrows, and a green spandex bodysuit. The woman was wearing a short skirt, an overly large trench coat, and had purple hair, golden eyes, and proportions that made the teenage ninja's hat feel light, and the last had a pineapple-shaped haircut, and a large scar across his nose. The last one Naruto recognized as his favorite academy teacher, because the man had actually attempted to help Naruto, Yumi no Iruka, and the former 2 was introduced as one Mido guy, a top in the field of Taijutsu, and Enko Mitarashi, specializing in ninjutsu, weapons, and torture. After Sarutobi had explained the reason why Naruto had failed, all 3 became extremely irritated. Guy began sprouting about extremely youthful behavior, and Iruka and Enko developed deep scowls. After the explanation, Sarutobi requested all 3 help tutor the boy. Both men happily agreed, and the woman gave a curt nod. Then Naruto's life became a whole lot more interesting. Granted, all 3 were difficult trainers, but Naruto excelled under both. Under Guy-sensei he learned a great deal about Taijutsu, and helped increase his physical conditioning. He and the odd man had become quite close over the years, and when Guy had told Naruto that he would be taking on a genin squad this year, and that he was personally requesting Naruto and his 2 friends Lee and Tenten for his team, Naruto was ecstatic. He and Lee had become great friends since Guy had introduced the 2 earlier in the year, since both were constantly underestimated. Guy had compared the 2, saying that they were both geniuses of hard work, and that statement had cemented the 2 into a strong friendship-friendly rivalry. Tenten had become friends with him after he had stood up to a group of their fellow classmates, who were insulting her hair buns. Though he constantly joked with her about them, calling her Mousy-chan, she always blushed since Naruto had described them as really cute. The 3 had become close friends over the years, and Naruto couldn't wait to graduate with them. Enko-sensei had, at first, scared the living daylights out of the young blonde, but over time the 2 began to get to know one another, and found that they had both been treated as outcasts by the villagers, though Naruto still didn't know why he was treated so poorly. After Enko had told him about how her former sensei had betrayed her, and how she was treated because of her sensei betraying the leaf, the 2 had become as close as could be. Enko's training had greatly improved not only Naruto's weapon use and skills, but also his stealth and tracking skills, and he had even learned the basics of sealing. Enko had even found the problem with his clone technique. Due to his unusually high chakra reserves and relatively low chakra control, Naruto simply overpowered his clones so they couldn't work. She had taught him, with the Hokage's permission, the shadow clone technique that solved that little problem. She had also tested Naruto's elemental affinities, and had been shocked to find that the boy had not 1 or 2, but 3 affinities for lightning, water, and wind. After finding this out, she taught the blonde a few basics from each element. Lastly, Iruka-sensei's training helped increase Naruto's knowledge in everything from history to science and chemistry, which Naruto found very useful in his pranking, including a new stink bomb recipe, to ninja facts and information. He had also helped Naruto's chakra control which, while still not good enough to match his supply, grew to an acceptable level by teaching him the leaf and kunai balancing techniques. During their time together the already strong bond between the two had grown greater still, into a bond like that between a younger and older brother. Yes, all in all Naruto was having a great year. He was quickly growing into a proper ninja both physically, thanks in no small part to Guy's training, dietary adjustments, and youth shakes, which were actually quite tasty to the blonde, and mentally. He would be able to pass the test easily, now that Mizuki team couldn't interfere with his test again. He would be on a great team with his strong, though admittedly odd, sensei, and his two dearest friends. Sure both his friends were a year older than him, but that didn't matter to Naruto. Yup, life was good for the young Uzumaki until... Slam. Naruto found himself thrown across the street into a nearby alley by tackle. As he regained his footing his body instantly went into an iron fist stance, as Guy-sensei had taught him, and faced the three men that attacked him. As Naruto examined his attackers he instantly recognized all three. There were three of the academy teachers that had been removed from their posts half a year ago, after the Hokage had uncovered not only their interference with his training, but also taking bribes in order to aid certain students along. The one in the center Naruto recognized quickest of all, it was none other than Mizuki, his former teacher with Iruka-sensei, and one of the most adamant Naruto haters in the academy. The man had gone so far as to sabotage Naruto's tests, in order to ensure his failure. After the information came to light Mizuki and half a dozen other teachers had been put on a permanent suspension of duty without pay. What the hell do you and your little friends want Mizuki team? Naruto snarled at his former instructor. Payback monster, spat on by the former teachers, payback for losing us our jobs, ruining our careers, and stealing our futures away from us. Ha! Barked Naruto. You threw those away yourselves when you accepted bribes, and sabotaged an innocent student's training. Innocent? You? Don't be absurd. This village should be thanking us for ensuring that the demon remained weak, spat at the other instructor. He then grew a cruel sneer, and they'll praise us, as heroes once we eliminate you once, and for all. What is with everyone calling me a demon? I just don't get what you pea-brains are thinking. Naruto snorted in an annoyed fashion, a bored tone in his voice. He may not be able to beat three in a fight, he wasn't that good yet, but he could at least hold them off until help arrived. The two other instructors sneered at Naruto's remark and tone, but Mizuki developed a sinister smirk on his face. Naruto, his voice filled with mock sincerity and kindness, would like to know why the entire village hates you. Why do they insult, degrade, and attack you? Why will they never accept you? What are you yapping about, Mizuki team? Naruto growled at the man, though his eyes widened as he heard Mizuki speak. Mizuki, are you sure about this? Questioned one of the other instructors. Telling him could get us all executed. Silence, fool. I know just what I'm doing. Snapped Mizuki before returning his attention to Naruto. You see Naruto, do you remember the story of how the fourth killed the Kyuubi and saved the village? At Naruto's nod Mizuki continued, his voice growing louder and more deranged as he continued. Well, you see, that's a lie. The fourth couldn't kill it, so he sealed the Kyuubi into a newborn baby, and the third made a law, so no one could tell the younger generation about it. You are that baby, Naruto. You are the nine-tailed demon fox. Now die, Kyuubi. As Mizuki nearly shrieked in the last part, as he and the other former instructors leapt at Naruto to kill the boy. As Mizuki finished his rant Naruto's eyes widened. It all made sense now. The attacks, the constant whispered insults of fox brat, demon child, and monster, the attempts to hurt or hinder him in every way, shape, or form, they all made sense now. As the information sank in, a number of different emotions sank into the young boy's heart. First came sadness, then despair, then anger, and finally culminating into a fierce rage. It's not for Naruto, mentally screamed. I never asked for this to happen to me. I never asked for the Kyuubi. I never wanted to hold it. I never deserved the glares, insults, and attacks. It's not fair. It's not fair. The final part came, as a part screamed, part roared that caused them to stop before they even reached the boy. After his release Naruto started to feel pain coursing through his body, not like that of the previous beatings he'd endured, but something new. It felt like his body was melting from the inside, and reshaping itself. He also started to feel something besides the pain, power, and excitement, as if a lifetime's worth of adrenaline had been pumped into his body. His senses also changed, the increases he'd been feeling come and go for nearly a year now had finally settled in, and then intensified. His vision began to flash between normal and a bizarre twisted version of the area surrounding him, filled with strange beings, which seemed to glance toward the boy in confusion before returning to their business. Naruto finally collapsed to his knees, as the shock and strain of this change became too much for him to handle, and he howled like a wolf to the heavens above. During this the three stood in shock of the boy's outburst. They watched as the boy's body started to shift and change. His hair grew longer and thicker across his body 1 second only to recede another, or cover one area only to recede and cover another, until at last his body was covered in light brown fur, with dark golden blonde streaks throughout the head and back. The boy's nails changed into fierce claws, and his teeth sharpened into knife-like fangs, and his face lengthened into a wolfish snout. His muscles expanded, and he grew until the former 5'3" blonde stood 7'9". Lastly were his eyes. They attained their bright cerulean color, but an equally bright yellow sheen seemed to overcast them. Mizuki screamed, "The demon has taken control. Kill it now." As the two others leapt at him, Naruto's clawed hand shot out. One pierced one of the foolish in the shoulder, and the other ripped through the other man's gut, killing him, as he watched his own inside spill onto the pavement below. The now wounded other attempted to slash the former blonde's chest with a kunai, and struck home. A shout of victory died in his throat, as the wound healed in an instant, fur and skin replacing the formerly deep cut. The man didn't even have time to scream, as the newly changed werewolf grabbed the man's head in both clawed hands, and with a sharp jerk, a twist, and a sharp crack broke the man's spine, and killed the man in an instant. Mizuki, seeing both of his comrades die in an instant after attacking the former blonde, did the first smart thing in his life. He ran away, as fast as his legs could carry him. In the distance, as he fled, the only thing Mizuki could hear outside his own heartbeat was a howl that seemed to fill the night. If Mizuki had looked up, he would have sworn that the moon shimmered for a second, like it was laughing. After releasing a final howl of victory, Naruto slowly reverted to his normal form, and collapsed, his clothes shredded after the transformation, to the street below. Mere moments later, the third Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen, arrived on the scene, a squad of Anbu at his side. After hearing the howl, he, and all the nearby Anbu ninja, had come to find out what had happened. After he saw the remains of the two former instructors, his eyes fell on Naruto, and his shredded appearance. Cat. Dog. Bear. He shouted instantly. 3 Anbu in the respective animal masks appeared in front of the old cage. Get Naruto to the hospital immediately. Make sure whatever did this didn't hurt the boy. As the 3 Anbu bowed, and Bear picked up the young blonde, the Hokage had only one thought in his mind. What the hell happened here? Drip drip drip. Naruto was lying on his stomach, body aching over every single inch. Drip drip drip. Naruto began to stir awake. Drip drip drip. Damn it, I'm going to have to fix that damn faucet again. Naruto's still addled mind thought with a grimace. Drip drip drip. Wait a minute. How did I get home? Last thing I remember, I was attacked by Mizuki team and those other prick teachers. Then Mizuki team told me I was Kyuubi. Then I got angrier than I ever thought I could be. Then Fang's claws for Naruto was confused. As the memories of last night came flooding back to him, he remembered his transformation, his vision of the strange world, the power he had felt as his body had reshaped himself, and the way he had killed those other 2 teachers. What the hell happened to me, was Naruto's mental scream, as his eyes shot open. As Naruto hastily got up off his stomach and began to look around, his first thought was, how did I get in a sewer? The place Naruto now found himself could only be described as a giant sewer, if not for a few oddities. First was the sheer size of the place. The Hokage Tower couldn't even reach the roof of it, and it seemed to stretch on for miles. Second were the pipes that covered the sides of the tunnel. Normally this wouldn't be that odd, but these pipes glowed in a number of different colors, nearly half in a bright incandescent blue, a few less in a ghostly silver, and the remaining few a bright vicious red. Lastly was the fact that the entire place was filled with a weird red light, the color mimicking the pipes only if. As Naruto considered his strange new surroundings, he heard a strange sibilant whisper, Come, young Urata. We have much to speak of. You, I, and another have much to discuss. As Naruto heard the voice, and he felt compelled to follow it, as his mind began to swim with the memories of his transformation. It had felt weird, but, at the exact same time, felt so very right. It was like he had been living in a shell his entire life, and, in the moment of the transformation, he had finally been set free. It was exhilarating, and terrifying at the same time. His mind then went to the 2 he had killed. At first he suddenly felt sickened and saddened that he had taken not 1, but 2 lives, but these emotions soon passed, as he remembered the sneers on both of the men's faces, as they had attacked and attempted to kill him. It was like Iruka-sensei had taught him a ninja's life is one of danger and strife. You must be ready to kill in order to survive. Just remember, killing doesn't make you a monster. Only when you enjoy murder are you truly a monster. Naruto remembered the speech with a smile. Maybe Iruka had told him that for a day like today. He didn't enjoy the fact that he had killed those 2, bastards though they were, but he did not regret it for saving his life. As Naruto's thoughts ended, he found himself outside a giant gate that seemed to reach high into the tunnel, beyond the shadows that blocked the roof from sight. The gate was wrapped in chains that all seemed to connect to a single paper seal. As Naruto leaned in to study the seal above his head, a pair of blood-red eyes, as big as the young man stood tall, suddenly snapped open, and stared at the blonde. Naruto instinctively jumped back, as he heard the same whispery voice now greatly magnified into a tremendous roar spoke, Greetings young Urata. You know who I am. As the words were spoken, a giant fox head with blood-red fur appeared out of the shadows of the gate. Naruto's eyes widened in fear and recognition before narrowing in rage. Yeah, I do. He shouted. You're the reason I've hated my whole life. You Kyuubi. Kyuubi's eyes widened in shock. Pupils nearly as dense as most ink. Kyuubi thought before its eyes softened into a tearful look, as it remembered the abuse the child had suffered because of it. The voice had softened, as the fox spoke again. You are correct. For what it is worth, I'm deeply sorry for the pain that my imprisonment has caused you. I truly am. The fox finished with soft sob nearly hidden in his voice. Naruto's eyes widened at the sorrow he felt, and saw in the so-called King of Demons' voice and eyes. An idea suddenly hit Naruto. You never wanted to attack Konoha, did you? It was more a statement than a question. No, Kyuubi stated. I was placed under power that threw me into a deep rage by a man with unusual red eyes, and a man who smelled of snakes. Kyuubi sobbed out, and then looked at Naruto with a curious look in her large, sad eyes, then asked, how did you know? Naruto shrugged. I just could feel it. Must be because we're linked through the seal. By the way, where are we in Kyuubi? I thought Mizuki-team said you were sealed inside me. We're inside your mind, young Urata. Kyuubi stated. Great, just what I need. My mind is literally a sewer. Naruto started with an exaggerated sigh and slump of his shoulders, causing the Kyuubi to snicker. A thought suddenly hit the young blonde. Hey, why do you keep calling me that weird word? What the hell is an Urata? Naruto questioned. I believe I should explain this question to young Kitsune. Stated a new voice. The new voice was strong and matronly, like a stern grandmother or the mistress of a powerful estate. As you wish, Kyuubi said with a bow of its head. Good, but first I need to introduce myself. The voice stated, as a new figure appeared out of the shadow. She was a tall, matronly woman with pale, but weathered skin. Her hair glowed like liquid moonlight, as she looked down on the boy with silver. She wore robes that seemed to be woven out of pure silver, and white gold with images of the moon in its different stages, woven across it in a darker shade of silver. She then spoke to the young blonde, greeting young Urata. I have gone by many names in my time. This nation's people have called me Tsukiyomi, but I prefer the names your people gave me many years ago, Luna or Mother Moon. Your goddess? Naruto asked, awestruck by the appearance of the powerful figure. Luna smiled down on the young blonde. You are both correct and incorrect at the same time. While I am actually referred to as a goddess by many cultures, I am, like the Kyuubi here, actually a spirit. Admittedly, I am one of the most powerful ones, but a spirit nonetheless. The same is true for the Shinigami, and a good deal of other gods in your midst. However, I believe we are losing focus here. You wish to know what in Urata is correct. Oh right, sorry. Naruto apologized while rubbing the back of his head, embarrassed by his loss of focus. It's quite alright. Luna stated before clearing her throat. The name Urata is linked to an ancient story. Once eons ago, the world was united into a single state called Pangaea. The physical world and the shadow realm stood united without any barriers between. Sorry to interrupt, but what is this shadow realm you just talked about? Naruto asked. The shadow realm is the world of spirits and their kind. It is a reflection of this world both physically and metaphysically, and before you ask, Kyuubi explained, that means that the shadow realm is shaped by both the place's physical features and the emotions that surround and fill that region. In other words, an ugly place filled with positive emotions and memories will seem brighter and more cheerful, and a beautiful place filled with negative emotions and memories will seem darker and more dangerous or sad. Now please do not interrupt Luna-sama again. Thank you, Kyuubi. Now, as I was saying, Pangaea was a paradise protected and policed by one of the mightiest of all the spirits, Father Wolf. As time passed on, and Father Wolf aged, he brought forth children from himself to keep the world in balance. These children were part spirit and part mortal. They were the first Urata. Naruto's eyes widened at this statement, but he kept quiet until the end. As Luna continued, these children aided Father Wolf for centuries, but, as the ancient spirit grew old, and began to feel the pain of his countless battles, the young Urata took it upon themselves to end their ancestral father's pain. In a single action they ended their father's life in a final moment of glory, but their actions had dire consequences. In his final moment, Father Wolf let loose a single howl that shattered the bonds of the world, and split it into the current physical world, and the shadow realm. In their guilt over the consequences of their actions, they swore an oath to protect the balance of the world. I, being one of Father Wolf's oldest lovers and friends, took pity on the young Urata, and took them under my protection. After many millennia of acting as stewards of the world and shadow, an event occurred that wiped out all the Urata, or so I believe, in a matter of years. This event, known as the Great Human-Demon War, shattered the barrier between the worlds almost completely, and now spirits may pass into the world without much effort. It also unlocked an ability long dormant in humanity, the ability to use, as your people call it, chakra. This has allowed humanity to defend itself against the dangers of the shadow, and has allowed a new balance to take the place of the old. As Luna finished, she turned her gaze to Naruto, and spoke in a calm manner. Now you, young Urata, have a choice. I have decided to grant you the powers of your ancestors now that you have experienced the first change, and even turn it into what your people now call a bloodline. However, there is a cost for you, and all your descendants must do, as your ancestors did, and swear the ancient oath of the moon to me, as your ancestors did many years ago. Naruto's eyes were the size of dinner plates, as Luna finished her story. As all that she had said sank in, he asked her a question. What does the oath of the moon entail, if I may ask? Luna don't know. Luna looked at him, and smiled. The oath is very simple. She started calmly. All you must do is vow on your name and spirit that you will follow 7 oaths. First, Urim.Takus, the wolf must hunt. This means that you and your descendants must do all that they are able to crush any of the ancient evils that infest the physical world and the shadow. This doesn't mean all your clan must be warriors, but merely cannot aid these evils and do what they can to stop them. Second, Imra Nufur Imra, the people do not murder the people. This means that your clan must never slay a member of its own without just cause. Third, Sisi Mak Nasi, the low honor the high respect the low. This means you must show respect and honor to those that have earned it, and must return respect that is given to you by those below you. Basically, you can't develop a superiority complex like some other bloodlines. And Kofachikov Hygakov. Fourth, Night to respect your prey. This rule means, as long as you hunt you will show your prey the respect all creatures deserve after death. Fifth, Uratha say fulfill Lu, the Uratha shall cleave to the human. Basically this means you will not mate with other Uratha or wolves, those spirits in human form are allowed. Luna added the last part while sending a wink to Kyuubi, who blushed. Kyuubi's sudden blush caused a reaction from Naruto, and he shouted, Kyuubi, you're a girl, why didn't you mention that earlier? Must have slipped my mind. The Kyuubi started with a snicker, and in a sudden flash of red she was gone. In Kyuubi's place stood a beautiful young woman in her late teens, with fiery red hair and blood-red eyes. She was dressed in only a crimson kimono decorated with fox images in deep black and gold. She had a heart-shaped face, at least C maybe D cup, and legs that didn't stop. Atop her head stood a pair of fox ears, and 9 long crimson tails flowed behind her. To put it simply, she was drop-dead gorgeous. She winked at Naruto, and said, So, how do you like my human form, Naruto-kun? As Naruto blushed and mumbled pretty, Luna grinned before saying sternly, Now that your flirtatious moment is over, do you mind if I continue my explanation, Kyuubi? Of course, forgive our interruption, Luna-sama. Said Kyuubi with a sorry Luna-sama from Naruto. Luna nodded and continued, the 6 oaths states. Nuhuyuzu Rendo not eat the flesh of man or wolf. This rule is pretty self-explanatory. The last rule formally forced you to keep your power hidden from normal mortals, to prevent an effect called lunacy, that affected those who see you in your altered state, but with humans developing chakra they have become immune to it. Given the fact I shall create a new oath. She too not a duty honor your word, and the vows you swear on the moon. This means you must always do your best to keep your promises, and honor your vows made under my name. This can be overruled if you are deceived when you make the vow. Each broken oath will bring a severe punishment upon the oathbreaker. As Luna finished her speech she looked at Naruto, and waited for his answer. Naruto appeared to think for a moment, and decided that most of the rules were common sense stuff for him. He then said, I, Naruto Uzumaki, take upon the oath of the moon, and swear upon my name, and spirit to honor it for all of my days. He stated while bowing to Luna, who nodded sagely. Very good, Naruto-kun. Stated the ancient moon spirit with a small smile on her face. Now I will explain to you about the power you have now inherited. The basic powers include increased senses, the ability to communicate with wolves and other canines, and increased regeneration, but you should be warned these gifts come at a price. Silver now burns your skin like fire and poison, and cancels your regeneration. The more advanced powers are your auspice, forms, and the ability to wield essence to fuel spirit charms. The first power is the power of the auspice. This power varies depending on the phase of the moon during your first change. First are the children of the full moon, the Rahu, and their auspice is called the warrior's eye. They are warriors first and foremost, and their auspice allows them to take the measure of a foe, gaining knowledge on their strength and abilities. By merely looking at a foe they can tell if the person is stronger or weaker than them, and the difference in their abilities. Next are the children of the gibbous moon, the Kahalath, and their auspice is called prophetic dreams. They are the planners and strategists of the Uratha, and their power allows them to gain brief insight into the future. All they must do is meditate upon a problem, and fall into a deep sleep, and they can gain a prophetic dream that will give them new insight into whatever problem they were meditating upon. Sometimes, if a great threat is coming they will receive visions even without the meditations. The third auspice is the children of the half moon, the Eladath, and their auspice spirit envoy. They are diplomats and negotiators before being warriors, and their auspice increases their natural ability to negotiate with spirits. Next are the children of the new moon, the Uraka, and their gift is the Pathfinder's sense. They were the scouts, spies, and assassins of the Uratha, and their auspice allowed them to sense when spirit influence was involved in matters better than most Uratha. Lastly is your auspicious young Uratha. The children of the crescent moons, the Their auspice was called Ritual Master. All Yuratha are allowed to perform powerful rituals that grant them numerous abilities, but the others were true masters of that craft using and learning them with greater ease. This auspice probably also increased your intellect a little after awakening. Naruto nodded, as he thought of his own auspice, and, though he would have preferred being born under Rahu or Raka, the ability of the uterus sounded extremely interesting. He'd have to ask about these rituals later, but first he had to let Luna finish her explanation. Next is the power of your forms. The first form is called Hishu the Man. This is your default form, the one you were born with, although when you awaken you might find that the change has caused some slight improvements. Next is Dalu or the Near Man. In this form you remain humanoid, but gain a bestial aspect, with your normal and body hair growing thicker and longer, nails and teeth sharpening, and body growing and gaining some extra muscle. This form offers a slight increase in strength, stamina, size, speed, and sensory abilities. It is best for when you want to gain some power while keeping a degree of subtlety. Third is Gore the Beast or Wolf Man. This is the form you assumed when you were attacked earlier. It is a blend of both human and beast, and is best used for raw power. It offers full fangs and claws as weapons, massive increases in strength, stamina, speed, size, and sensory abilities, minor boosts in your agility and reflexes, and a thickening of the skin granting a thin form of armor. Next is the Urshul the War Beast. This form resembles a gargantuan wolf easily twice or triple the size of a normal wolf. It is the fastest form and has exceptional sensory boost, so it is best used for high-speed combat, hunting, or for escapes. In addition to a massive increase in speed and perceptive abilities, this form also provides a large boost in strength, agility, stamina, and reflexes, and a slight increase in size. The last is the Urhin or Beast form. In this form you appear as a normal wolf. Combat-wise it is not an effective form compared to the Urshul form, since it reduces your size, but it is very quick and has the best senses of the 5, so it is best used for tracking. In addition to the sensory and speed boosts, it also provides a major increase in agility and reflexes, and a minor increase in stamina. To change your form you need to only concentrate on the form you wish to assume, and allow the change to occur. Naruto was extremely excited about this ability, and he couldn't wait to test the abilities of each of his forms to see what they could do. The final ability is the ability to wield Essence and use spirit charms. First, Essence is the power of the Shadow Realm, and it is similar to the chakra that you ninja use to create your. The key difference is that while ninja use hand signs to mold chakra into, spirits focus essence through imagery to create the effects of charms. Most spirits are linked to charms that comply with their nature, like a fire spirit could only use charms related to fire, but Yuratha are different, and can use nearly any type of charm if it was taught to them. To learn a charm you will have to complete a task or challenge assigned to you by a spirit. It may be difficult since a great deal of the spirit world views the Yuratha as meddlers, but I'm sure you'll find a way. Different charms are rated at levels 1 to 5, and you won't be able to learn any higher level charms until you grow stronger. Currently the best you could wield would be LVL1 or maybe LVL2 charm. An important note is that you do not regain essence as quickly as you do chakra. It could take weeks to restore your essence pool through meditation and rest alone, but there is a way to regain it faster. All you need is a locus, a sort of essence spring, and meditate nearby, and you will regain essence rapidly, and fully restore it within an hour. Naruto nodded. These charms sounded just as amazing as, and since only he could use them, that was even better. Finding one of these loci may be difficult, but he was sure he could do it. Now I believe that ends our little discussion, but before I leave Naruto I have a few things to give you. Stated Luna, as she examined the boy. First I'd like to present you with a few charms. They are Two World Eyes, Wolf Blood's Lure, Partial Change, and Soundless Strike1. As she finished she touched Naruto's head and, in a flash of silver, the knowledge of the charms was imprinted into his mind. The first is a power of your auspice domain, so only author can use it. The next two are gifts directly from both Father Wolf and myself respectively, and the last is called a lunar front charm, a charm derived from one of the moon's aspects. In this case the stalker aspect. Luna explained. The next gift will be waiting in your home after you awaken. Lastly, I have some advice for you, the 5 wolf brothers who will seek you out. Respect them, and offer all 5 the honor of your clan in the future, and you will gain strong allies and teachers. That is all I have to teach you. Farewell young Yuratha, but worry not. I have forgotten my adopted children for too long, and I will not do so again. Luna started cryptically, as she prepared to leave. Before you leave Luna-sama, I have a request for Naruto-kun, and would like Luna-sama to oversee it. Kyubi started quickly before the moon spirit could leave. What is Kyubi-chan? Naruto asked her curiously. Luna merely looked at the fox spirit with a slightly raised eyebrow. I would like to become Naruto-kun's personal totem spirit. Stated Kyubi. Luna nodded, and Naruto looked confused. What's a totem spirit? Questioned the young blonde. The totem spirit Naruto is a spirit who, in exchange for a price, grants Naruto certain powers and abilities. Luna answered the blonde. My benefits for you Naruto-kun would be granting you a few of the spirit charms I know, acting as your advisor throughout your career and life, and granting you access to my chakra. As for my price, I have two conditions. First, I am allowed to experience your senses, as long as we're joined. Second, if you find a way to free me, without killing or harming either of us, I request that you do. Explained Kyuubi, looking at the blonde with hope-filled eyes. Naruto merely smiled at the fox spirit. Kyu-chan, he grinned at her, I would have done those things for you, even if you didn't offer this totem. I know you weren't in control when you attacked Konoha, so you don't deserve punishment for it. Naruto stated simply. Thank you Naruto-kun. Sniffed the Kyuubi with a warm, happy look in her eyes. So how do we do this? Asked our blonde were-ninja. Remove a corner of the seal, and I'll do the rest. Stated Kyuubi. As Naruto complied, red chakra suddenly surged around them both, and she felt the link between them grow stronger. After he was done, the fox placed one of her tails on the blonde's forehead, and gave him the coal element, feet of mist, and speak with BASTS1 spirit gifts. After that she let the young ninja drift off, and left his mindscape with a whisper. I look forward to working with you, Naruto-kun. As Naruto began to awaken yet again, he took in his surroundings before even opening his eyes. With his newly enhanced senses, he could smell the familiar stink of disinfectant, medicine, and death, and he could hear the soft beeping of different machines surrounding him. Great, just great. I'm in the hospital. I hate the hospital. The blonde mentally groaned. Then the blonde noticed a familiar scent by his bed, and he released a small growl. Just the person I need to have a long talk with. The blonde thought angrily. Hello Ajiji, stated the blonde, as he opened his eyes, and looked at the old cage. We have some stuff we need to talk about. The Hokage's head jerked up suddenly, startled by the blonde's sudden awakening, as well as the boy's cold tone. As Sarutobi looked at his surrogate grandson, and noticed the cold look the blonde was giving him, he stated, that we do Naruto. That we most certainly do. Naruto sat in his hospital bed, his eyes cold, as he stared at the man he had thought of as a grandfather for many years. How long was I out? Asked the blonde coldly, as he slowly examined his now greatly changed body. When Luna-sama had mentioned that there would be some physical changes, she wasn't kidding. Thought the blonde, as he studied himself. He had grown over half a foot from standing at a short 5'3" to a new whopping 5'11". What little bit of baby fat that guy's training hadn't removed had disappeared to be replaced with lean and wiry muscle. He was still skinny, but now instead of looking scrawny, he now looked lean like a greyhound. His physical features hadn't changed much, except that his teeth and nails were sharper, his features had gained a wilder, rugged look, and his hair had become thicker. Yeah, but they're definitely an improvement. Answered the Kyuubi through their newly established mental link. About 2 weeks. The old Hokage stated solemnly. He was nervous about the sudden change that had overtaken his adopted grandson. The boy had never spoken so coldly to him, and had never had such an icy glare in his eyes before. He needed to find out what had happened that night, but first he needed to get Naruto to open up. I take it that means I failed again? Asked the blonde. When the Hokage only nodded, Naruto slammed his fists into the nightstand beside his bed, nearly cracking it in half. Damn it! Shouted the angered blonde. I worked so hard, but I still can't catch a break. He shouted in frustration. Sarutobi was saddened to see his grandson in such a way. He knew how hard the boy had worked over the past year, and how excited he was about being placed on a team with both his friends, and one of the few adults he trusted. Truthfully, Sarutobi wanted the boy to remain back a year so he could make friends his own age, but the Hokage was still saddened by his grandson's state. Naruto, he said in a sad and comforting voice, I'm sorry, I know how much it meant to you to be on Guy's team with your friends, but who knows, you may make even better ones this year, since you'll be in a class with kids your own age. The Hokage then reached out to place a comforting hand on the boy's shoulder, only to have the blonde knock it away. Doesn't he growl? This action merely added to the old man's shock and fear. Naruto, he asked what happened that night. Why are you treating me like an enemy? You want to know what happened to Hokage-sama? Naruto growled out the sama suffix, causing the old man to flinch. Naruto had never addressed him by his title without adding Jiji to the end. Fine, I'll tell you what happened. Naruto then told the old cage about what had happened 2 weeks ago. He explained how Mizuki and the other 2 teachers had attacked him, and how Mizuki had told him about the Kyuubi. How he experienced the first change, and killed the other 2 ex-teachers while Mizuki had fled. He explained his meeting with Luna, leaving out the parts involving the Kyuubi. He didn't trust the old man enough to talk about his relationship with her anymore. He explained the basics of his powers, and how they were now a. At the end of his explanation, Sarutobi was shocked. Naruto had learned about the Kyuubi, killed 2 ex-Chunin, met a goddess, and gained an extremely powerful. His thoughts were interrupted by Naruto's cold voice. So Hokage-sama, were you ever going to inform me about my little tenant? Asked Naruto with a cold glare leveled at the Hokage. The Hokage gulped at the ice in the young man's voice. Naruto, the old man started. I understand your feelings right now, but the old Hokage tried to explain only to be cut off by a bark of laughter from the blonde. You understand? Ha. Do you understand what it's like to be constantly hated for a reason you don't even know? Do you understand how it feels to be constantly attacked and find only yourself to blame? Do you understand what it feels like to find that one of the few people you've ever truly trusted completely has been lying to you for your entire life? Do you understand any of that, old man? Naruto finished with a roar. The old man stepped back at the sound of the pure hurt and anger in the young man's voice. Naruto, I save it. If that's all your questions, Hokage-sama, I'd like to be left alone. Naruto interrupted in an emotionless voice. Sarutobi wanted to say more, to explain to the boy his reasons, but he knew, in his current state, Naruto wouldn't listen. Besides, he knew he had no excuse, so he merely nodded and turned to leave. As he was about to exit the door, he spoke softly. Naruto, I know you probably hate me now, but I was only trying to protect you. I truly am sorry, my boy. Naruto heard him and responded in his soft voice. I know, Hokage Jiji. I know, in your own foolish way, you were trying to protect me from the truth. That's the only reason I can't hate you now. I just can't trust you anymore. Naruto finished, shaking his head sadly. The Hokage only smiled and nodded as he left the boy's room and headed for his office, a determined look plastered across his weathered features. He had a lot of work to do if he was going to earn back his grandson's trust. Later that evening, the sun was setting as Naruto had just left the hospital, fully recovered, and was heading home. As he walked, Naruto felt the glares of the villagers and heard the muttered insults, the same as any other day he had lived. However, this day was different for one reason. Naruto knew why they muttered and glared at him. Instead of feeling sad and lonely, the way he used to feel when he received this treatment, he began to feel hot anger course through his veins. These idiots can't tell the difference between an ancient fox spirit and a 15-year-old, Naruto growled in his mind. Hey, who are you calling ancient? Demanded Kyuubi. Naruto mentally flinched. Sorry, Kyuubi-chan, forgot about the mental link, and you're not ancient, you're a beautiful mature vixen. Apologized the were-ninja, getting a blush from said vixen. As Naruto continued to speak with Kyuubi, his new and improved ears caught the sound of an incoming rock. Moving faster than most of the blonde possible, thanks to his improved Uratha reflexes, Naruto caught the incoming projectile easily in one hand. Looking behind him, he caught sight of the thrower, a short, slightly pudgy man with pink hair, who he immediately identified as Haruno. The Haruno clan was a clan of merchants that ran a large number of the shops in the Hidden Leaf village, and all of which were the top offenders when it came to throwing Naruto out. He had heard that the clan head's daughter had joined the ninja academy in hopes of expanding the family's influence into the ninja circles. Naruto gripped the stone in his hand before cocking his hand back and returning the rock to his thrower, right onto his pudgy nose. With an audible crack, the stone connected, smashing the overweight merchant's nose. The crowd was shocked. They had all come to expect the demon to take their punishment with the same sorrowful looks or happy grin he always wore. How wrong the fools were. Listen up, you bunch of moronic asshoops, snarled out the blonde. The crowd's focus was then riveted on Naruto. What was this creature which had replaced their submissive demon punching bag? This was the thought shared by the majority of the crowd. I've been taking your abuse for most of my life, and I'm damn sick of it. The blonde growled. I know about the fox, and the reason you morons hate me. This caused many a gasp to fill the crowd, and I'd like to state this once, and clearly. I'm not a fox. If I was, do you idiots honestly think I'd have let you get away with all the shit you've pulled on me? Silence filled the street. I didn't think so. Now I'm giving all of you this one warning, so spread it. The next idiots who try to fuck with me again will get the same treatment returned on them with double the force. You throw a rock at me, I'll throw it right back and break your skull. You try to beat me, I'll break your arms. You try to poison me, I'll stuff it back down your throats, finished the blonde. With his piece said, the blonde turned and left, heading for his apartment and leaving a gaping and murmuring crowd behind him. Nicely said to Naruto-kun, came Kyuubi's voice. Especially like the double the force part of a threat. Very alpha-like. Wasn't a threat. The blonde growled. I meant every word I said. I'm through being those bastards punching bags. I've got pride now, and I don't intend to lose it. As well you should. The Kyuubi agreed. You're in Uratha, not to mention my container, you deserve your pride. Not to mention that kind of behavior impresses the females, myself included. Kyuubi finished with a lecherous grin, getting a blush from our favorite blonde werewolf. A few moments later, Naruto reached his apartment complex. It wasn't big, but it wasn't small either. It had 4 rooms. A main living room, a kitchen dining room, a bedroom, and a bathroom. It was relatively well kept, a few small bits of clutter laying around, but all in all the place seemed well kept with a homey, lived-in feel to it. The place used to come under constant attack by angry shinobi, hoping to get to the blonde by attacking his home. This stopped soon after, since the apartment complex was also home to a few who were friendly to the boy, and disliked seeing his home being attacked. After several gangs of pillaging villagers were found strung up, beaten, with a sign saying apartments are protected by more than their residents, attacks on his home had stopped. As Naruto looked around his home, he noticed the lack of dust, and thought that the Hokage must have sent someone to keep it clean while he was in the hospital. He remembered his discussion with the old man earlier, and felt a twinge of guilt for how he had treated the old man, but soon shook it off. The old man had made a big mistake in lying to him about Kyuubi, and he needed to understand that. Besides, Naruto thought with a grin, maybe this will get the old man to actually do something about the village. Hell knows he needs to do something. The Uchiha clan's superiority complex alone is starting to cause problems. I wish more of them were like Itari ni. The thought of Itari Uchiha brought a smile to the blonde's lips. Itari had been one of his assigned guards when she was just made A, and the two had bonded quite quickly. Itari hated the arrogance her clan had started to show, and often spoke of her annoyance at her clan's actions. Her only friend from the clan was one Shisui Uchiha, and even he was starting to share his clan's attitude. As Naruto continued to scan his home to check for any intruders or traps, past events had led him to become suspicious of the apparent safety of his home. He noticed a box lying on the kitchen counter, directly under an open window, that seemed to be sheathed in moonlight. Naruto-kun, I believe that is the second part of Luna-sama's gift for you. It has her scent on it, and that sheath of moonlight is her personal mark. Informed Kyuubi. Naruto nodded, and approached the box. It was large, a good 2 feet long, and about 1.5 feet wide. The language and script are called First Hung. It's an ancient language used only by powerful spirits, and the Uratha, and the reason you understand it, is because Uratha have an innate ability to read and speak it. Kind of like a reflex language, your mind instinctively knows it. The Fox Spirit explained to her young charge. Naruto nodded. It made as much sense as everything else that had happened to him recently. Naruto picked up the box, and moved it to the end table in the middle of the living room. As he picked up the note, he read, "Dear Naruto, inside this box are a few gifts to you. Consider them the legacy of the Uratha. Each is a unique fetish. Before you ask, fetishes are weapons and tools created by Uratha to aid them. They are ranked like charms and rites from levels 1 to 5, and are created by binding a defeated or willing spirit into a physical item, thereby altering its shape and giving it unique abilities. Creating fetishes is a ritual that nearly any Uratha rite master can do, but it requires training to create more powerful ones. Inside are 5 items with letters attached to them explaining their powers or uses. This box is also a fetish called the Ghost Keeper box. It is a box that only Uratha are capable of touching, and anyone else who attempts to touch or open it will only have their hands pass harmlessly through it. It is protected against most forms of detection without sight. These same properties are also associated with whatever is placed inside the box by an Uratha when the lid is closed. It is a useful item for keeping valuable items out of non-Uratha hands." Naruto nodded as he read, and Kyuubi decided to put her 2 cents in. A useful item, you could use it for security purposes to keep items safe or for transportation purposes, to move items around without others being able to take them from you, or even sense that you have them with you. She stated. Naruto could only nod his agreement as he opened the box and removed the first item. It appeared to be a wooden cylinder somewhere between a foot and a half long, as white as a staff or spear hilt, and wrapped in deep black leather. At each end was a stylized wolf head designed with the mouth closed and clenched in a feral snarl. Naruto opened the note attached to the cylinder and began to read. This young Uratha is a fetish weapon, most commonly called known as the Wolf's Fang. It is a double-bladed spear. To unlock it, you only need to twist the edge of the handle. The direction you twist determines the type of blade that is released. Twisting upward will release a broad double-edged blade, and twisting downward will release a crescent-shaped blade. To reseal the blade, simply twist the hilt in the opposite direction. Both ends, once fully extended, are detachable from each other by twisting both ends in different directions, left up and right down, simultaneously while pulling on the handle. So you could use them separately, as shorthand weapons, as well. To reattach them, merely bring the ends back together quickly, and twist them in the opposite direction, as they separate. Naruto placed the letter, and picked up the. He held it out at arm's reach, and twisted the left side of the handle upward. With a barely audible shrink, the shaft extended another 2 feet with the wolf head popping open, and a half a foot long double-edged spearhead popping out. Naruto was impressed, as he gripped the other side of the handle, and twisted it downward. The same sound, an extension of the shaft occurred, but instead of opening to reveal a spear blade, the wolf's jaw distended like a snake, and an open crescent blade spread out about half a foot in each direction. The inside was razor sharp, and the outside appeared to be bladed, as well past the wolf head. Naruto then gave the now fully extended weapon a practiced twirl, and a few jabs and slashes with both ends. He then broke the shaft apart, as the instructions stated, and repeated the procedure with both separated ends. After he finished, he reattached them both, and let out a low whistle. Being friends with Konoha's weapon mistress, and student to a special who specializes in weapons, Naruto had learned the basics to handling most weapons, spears included. Even with his limited experience in the matter, Naruto could tell the weapon was perfectly balanced and designed. A true masterpiece, as Tenten would say. I am gonna need to stop by Ten's shop and pick up a scroll and a double-bladed poem style. Thought the blonde were ninja, eager to start training with his new weapon. Kyuubi nodded within his head. A good weapon is useless if you don't train with it. She stated sagely. Naruto only nodded and retracted both blades before putting his new weapon safely down on the table, before placing his hands back into the box to pull out the next item. When he removed his hands, they now held a longbow with a quiver attached to it full of arrows. The bow was made of white ash, and had images of the moon going through its cycles carved into it, with the full moon on top, and the new moon on the bottom. The string glowed a soft silver gray, but didn't burn Naruto's finger, so he figured it wasn't silver. The quiver was made of soft gray leather, and held about 50 arrows. The arrows held within had shafts of white ash, like the bow itself, silver feathers, and a dull gray metal head. The most common arrow designs were all shown in the quiver. Broad crescent-shaped frog catch arrows, designed for dealing damage to unarmored foes, narrow piercing heads, designed to penetrate armor, rounded fouling head, to incapacitate without killing, and standard broadheads. Naruto slowly opened the note attached, and read. This bow is called Moonlight, and it is another. Not only do the arrows that it fires fly truer and swifter than others fired from a normal bow, but by focusing your essence into the bow, you create arrows of pure essence that pierces solid matter, and tracks your opponents, no matter how quickly they move or dodge. The quiver is also special, and is designed to recreate any arrows fired from it at moonrise, but you can quickly refill it by merely channeling essence into it. The exact number of each type of arrow is determined by you when it is refilled, otherwise, it is 20 broadheads, 10 frog catch, 10 fouling, and 10 piercing. Naruto smiled. Bows were pretty uncommon weapons among shinobi, since it was difficult to master the art of the bow when combining it with shinobi training, but the few who mastered them were respected, since they could attack from farther distances than most shinobi, and with an unrivaled deadliness. Better add a scroll on kick into the list of things to pick up at the shop. Naruto told Kyuubi, who nodded before adding, "Man, I'm going to need a lot of essence to power all these tools, not to mention all the charms I'm gonna learn." Kyuubi snickered at this statement before stating, "I don't think that'll be a problem with Naruto-kun." "Why do you say Kyuubi-chan?" The blonde asked. "Well, since you have such large chakra reserves, your essence reserves, which mirror them, are quite large as well, not to mention that you can easily convert chakra into essence, and vice versa with only a little concentration. So I think running out of either one will be the least of your worries." The Fox Spirit explained. Naruto nodded. He knew about his high reserves, but the fact that his essence reserves mirrored them, and he could change chakra into essence, and essence into chakra with only a little concentration was news to him. He smiled as he pulled back the bowstring and focused some of his essence into it. Instantly an arrow made of jagged silver light burst forth on the taut string. Whistling softly, Naruto slowly let the bow go slack as the essence arrow disappeared. He then placed both the quiver and the bow beside the wolf's fang and reached into the box to pull out the next gift he'd received. As he removed his hand, he pulled out a book. Its covers were made of dull brown leather without a title, and the pages appeared stiff and yellowed with age. Before opening it, Naruto picked up the letter attached to the front cover and scanned it. This book is a collection of most of the rituals known to the tribes that served under the Oath of the Moon. They are sorted by level, and a special enchantment prevents you from reading ones that are beyond your ability to fully control. It also has a list of different fetishes, and, which are fetishes that can only be used once before they are destroyed. You can create at your level, their abilities, and the type of spirit needed to create them. It should prove very useful to you given your auspice, plus it's written completely in first tongue, so most non-Uratha won't be able to use it. Naruto nodded. He had needed to ask Kyuubi about the different rites the Luna had mentioned in her discussion of his auspice powers, but had been distracted by all the information she'd given him afterward. He opened the book to the first page, and began skimming through the different rituals and fetishes he could create. Some seemed very useful in day-to-day life, while others seemed to be reserved for special purposes. He noticed that he could use up to level 2 rites, and create up to level 2 fetishes plus. He thought for a moment, but figured it was due to his ethereal auspice ability. After skimming for over an hour, he put the book down next to the rest of his gifts. He then reached into the box, and withdrew his next gift. He then removed his hand to find a pair of sunglasses with crescent moon-shaped lenses. He removed the attached note, and read. "These are called crescent glasses. They're enchanted glasses that allow you to identify the type, rank, and nature of any spirit you see merely by looking directly at them. It is useful for finding out about any spirit you face, and determining how you rank. Kyuubi can explain about the ranking system of the spirits later." Naruto smiled as he placed the glasses on his head, and to his surprise, they didn't even affect his vision in the slightest, even in the dimly lit confines of his home. "Kyuubi, what did she mean by spirit ranks?" the blonde asked his totem spirit. Kyuubi then cleared her throat and began speaking in a manner similar to a schoolteacher. "Spirits are ranked into 4 broad categories based on age and power. These ranks are then again subdivided into 2 or 3 subcategories within the rank. First are the Gafflings, the lowest rank, and they are divided into lesser Gafflings and greater Gafflings. Lesser Gafflings are the weakest spirits in existence. They are no more intelligent than animals, and a trained soldier or academy ninja could probably take one down in a fight. Greater Gafflings are slightly better, and are divided into either stronger beasts with no intelligence or slightly stronger beings with normal human intelligence. You, and most other genin, before the first change could have taken one down in a fair fight. The next rank are the Jagglings, which are also divided into lesser and greater subranks. Lesser Juggings are the strongest you can probably take on now, and could put up a good fight to a seasoned genin or amateur chunin. They are about as intelligent as humans. Greater Jagglings could give a seasoned chunin or even a jounin a hard fight, and are also about as smart as humans if not smarter. Next on the power chain are the Incarnate, and these are divided into minor, lesser, and greater subranks. Minor could face down any jounin or anbu, and probably win. Lesser Celestials are a match for your cage level shinobi, and greater or the same rank as a Spidger. They're all more intelligent than most humans. Lastly are the Celestials. These guys are the gods and goddesses of myth, Luna, Amaterasu, and other great gods all fit in this rank. No living being has the power to face these beings except another Celestial, but they don't appear to lower beings unless they must, and they're impossible to summon. They only appear when they want to, like when Luna did it for you. There is also a legendary 5th rank called the Primordials, which Father Wolf allegedly belonged to, but none of them have existed since Pangia.Kyuubi finished her explanation, and Naruto nodded, as he absorbed the information before placing the sunglasses onto the Book of Rites and Fetishes, before reaching in the box again to claim his final gift. It was a small brown leather pouch with a note attached to the side. It sounded like it was full of something from the rattling sound it made as he moved it, but Naruto decided to read the note before opening it. Naruto, this pouch, and the crystal inside are called spirit catchers. They are special crystals designed to hold and store spirits you defeat and slay in combat, until you can bind them into fetishes or present them to other spirits. They are quite simple to use since they activate automatically when you slay a spirit. They absorb them into the crystal automatically, if there were any empty ones existing in the pouch. The bag now holds about 50 crystals, which I suggest you move, since the bag itself is too precious to be carried around, unless you are planning on a long trip. The crystals are destroyed after you use a spirit within them, but you can easily make more. To create new ones when the old are destroyed, or you just need to stock up, simply channel essence into the bag, and leave it out in the open moonlight for a full night. Afterward a number of crystals will be fully formed inside depending on how much essence you spent. Naruto nodded. This would be a useful gift for when he needed to create new fetishes or other tools, but he disliked the idea of killing spirits just to make weapons. Kyuubi, sensing her charge's feelings, spoke to him. Naruto, you don't need to use good spirits. There are a lot of evil and corrupt spirits in the spirit world, and it's your job, as in Yuratha, to eliminate them. Plus remember, the lowest spirits are no more intelligent than animals, so you should think of it as no different than killing a deer, so you could eat its meat. Kyuubi explained seriously. Naruto smiled. She was right, and he knew that, as long as he only killed either corrupt or bestial spirits, he would be fine. Thanks Kyu, I don't know what I'd do without you. He thought softly, causing the fox to blush and state, probably end up dead in a ditch by now. Naruto could only chuckle. He then removed the crystals from the pouch. Each was shaped like a gemstone with an octagonal shape, and was translucent silver in color. He placed them into a ninja pouch on his belt before returning the original pouch to the box for safekeeping. Naruto then yawned, and looked at the clock. It was approaching midnight. Time for bed, he said aloud before gathering his new treasures, and placing them back into the box, and hiding it under a loose floorboard in his bedroom. Got a lot of things to do tomorrow, don't we, Kyu? He thought to the fox. Yup, we need to do a little shopping for some training scrolls for your 2 new weapons, and we should probably get you some new clothes and other equipment, since your old ones don't fit right anymore, and no more tacky orange jumpsuits. The fox ordered. Never liked them anyway, but they're the only thing those bastard Haruno stores would sell me. The boy growled, mentally lucky for me, Tenten's family likes me, and owns a supply shop. I was planning on getting new clothes after I graduated anyway. Good, answered Kyuubi. You should also speak to your friends if you can, you know they're probably worried about you. After that we can start searching for a nearby locus, and after those are done we can start training and mastering the basics of your new powers, before we head into the shadow to start earning gifts. Naruto only nodded, as he drifted off to sleep. Tomorrow his new life begins. The next morning. Naruto woke up early the next morning with some light stretches and aerobics to work out the kinks. After going through his standard morning exercise routine, created by Guy-sensei. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, a half hour of jumping jacks, and an hour of crunches and flexes. Guy's routine was designed to help Naruto keep his body in shape. His sensei had flat out told Naruto that his body wasn't built for high-powered jutsu, and was built for speed and agility, using his light body to improve his agility, his high stamina to keep moving faster and longer than his opponent, his lean muscles to develop a greater speed, and his natural flexibility to get past an opponent's guard. This had at first disappointed the boy since he wanted to fight head-to-head and not run away. That is until Guy showed him how the boy's combat type fought using a special subset of the Goken. Watching his sensei turn a pile of boulders into rubble using only his speed and momentum, and how he moved like a striking beast with his agility, had left the boy awestruck. Guy had then sealed the deal by telling Naruto that his body was more designed for that style, so he could be even better at it. This had turned the boy into a training maniac just like his sensei, learning and practicing to increase and use his natural affinities in combat. Guy had then developed a training regimen for the boy that focused on reinforcing his existing muscle mass, while allowing him to maintain his flexibility. The process had done wonders for the boy's taijutsu skills and overall physical conditioning. When, just a year ago, Naruto would have fought like a common brawler and relied on his superior healing factor and endurance to win the day, he was now a skilled combatant, using his speed to either gain momentum for powerful strikes or release a rapid barrage of blows at foes, and his superior agility and flexibility to get past even the strongest foe's defense to hit with critical blows powered with speed-induced momentum. He still relied heavily on his natural endurance in combat, but now it was a trained part of his style that he used just like any other skill. Deciding to hold off on his normal after workout run until later, since he needed to get going if he was going to meet Tenten at her family's shop in time to do some shopping before she left for Guy's early morning practice, that he presumed continued even now that the three had become a genin team without him. The thought of his two friends becoming genin without him filled the young blonde with a sense of sadness and disappointment, but he shook it off. He intended to tell them both about his secret today when they met, along with discussing it with Guy-sensei, since the older man probably knew. He wasn't angry at Guy for not telling him, since the old man had made it a law that he couldn't, but he was worried about how his friends would react when they found out. As he entered his shower, Naruto found himself feeling frightened. What if they hate me like the villagers after they find out, he asked himself. They wouldn't. Assured Kyuubi. Those two are true friends of Naruto, and they'll accept you for who you are. Kyuubi reassured him. Her words helped dull Naruto's fears, but they still lingered in the back of his mind. Thanks, Kyu-chan. Thought the werewolf. The fox only blushed at the nickname while nodding her head. With his mind now cleared, Naruto exited the shower and got dressed. He noticed that his old clothes no longer fit him right due to his growth spurt, but he made do by cutting of the legs and sleeve of an old shirt and pants, and adding a slit into either side of the shirt and the remaining legs of his pants, to allow him to move freely without the clothing constricting him. If there was one thing that Naruto hated, it was tight-fitting clothing, one of the reasons he never wore the spandex bodysuits that his sensei and best friend favored. The result was a slightly tattered pair of shorts and a sleeveless shirt that left a small section of his toned stomach exposed. It wouldn't win him any fashion awards, but it looked decent enough for the purpose, and was still loose enough for him to move easily. He then removed the Ghost Keeper box from its hiding place, opened it, and removed a few of his gifts. The wolf's fang removed, and hung it on the small of his back, using a special sheath he found in the box. Moonlight and its quiver were hung over his left and right shoulders respectively for easier reach and use, the crescent glasses placed on the bridge of his nose, and the tome of rites and spirit catcher pouch left in the box for safekeeping. Though he did remove the pouch of crystals from the box and hang it on his, now greatly loosened, belt before returning the box to its hiding place. Now ready for whatever happened to him, Naruto left and locked his apartment behind him. As he walked through the streets of Konoha, he noticed something different about how the villagers treated him. They still glared at him and muttered insults at him under their breath, but besides that they left him alone. He guessed word had spread through the village's gossip lines about the incident yesterday. He wondered if he would get any heat from the stone, but he doubted it. In order to explain the attack to anyone who had any real influence to punish him, the fool would have to speak under truth detection, and then reveal that he threw the stone first, and if he did that, Naruto could always claim self-defense, and the idiot would be the one in trouble. Naruto smirked at the idea. Even if he was summoned because of it, he could always call for a truth detection on his own and explain the situation. Even the idiots on the civilian council couldn't take away his right to defend himself. The thought of the looks on those bastards' faces brought a light snicker out of the blonde's mouth. His good mood was soon ruined by a shout of, "Halt, demon whelp!" From Naruto turned slowly and caught a look at the person who had just shouted. He found three figures standing in the center of the road. Two were large and heavily muscled, with the appearance of laborers. One was a bald man without a shirt and a scar on his right cheek, and the other was a hairy-faced fellow who was more heavy-set than his companion, but still heavily muscled with a sleeveless missile shirt covering his girth. The third figure stood in between the two giants. He was a scrawny little man with the same pink hair as the idiot from yesterday. Just great, another Haruno. He's probably here to avenge the honor of his clan, after I broke that other idiot's nose. Thought the blonde with a mental sigh. Sure enough, the next words to leave his mouth were, Demon, I, Kazura Haruno, have come to avenge the honor of my cousin Shubi, who you mercilessly attacked yesterday. He spoke in the typical shrill Haruno voice. Nailed it, thought Kyuubi from within her host. Naruto snorted, what honor? He threw a stone at me while my back was turned. As for my merciless attack, I merely returned his stone. Directly to his face. Responded the blonde with a grin. Silence, shrieked Haruno. You two, he indicated his lackeys, hold him down while I administer some justice to this demon filth, ordered by Haruno, while he pulled out a knife with a wicked look in his eye. The two goons approached Naruto, and expected the young man to run, which was his usual reaction to these attacks. Not anymore. The blonde looked at the two, and stated flatly, since you two are probably just hired muscle, I'm gonna give you a simple warning. I'm not the same kid who used to run from a fight to avoid causing trouble anymore. If you idiots attack me, I will attack back. Just thought you deserved the warning. Finished the blonde, as he got into a jujutsu stance. The two thugs were momentarily shocked by the blonde's statement, and the confidence in the boy's voice, but neither backed down. Instead, the bald one rushed forward, arms spread wide to grab the boy, and pin him down, so his boss could do his work. Naruto spun around the lumbering charge, and brought a heel kick to the man's ankle, causing him to fall forward onto the ground, with his momentum carrying him skidding forward a few feet. Thinking the boy was distracted by his companion's attack, the hairy thug charged the boy with a thick fist cocked back, ready to smash the boy to the ground. Naruto easily deflected the blow with a chop of the wrist, and then continued with a palm strike directly into the man's oversized gut. As the man bent over from the force of the blow, Naruto finished with a spin kick directly to the side of the man's head, knocking him out instantly, as he fell to the ground. The man's companion had by then regained his footing, and charged the blonde from behind. While throwing a punch of his own, Naruto easily dodged the punch with a spin, and using the momentum, launched an elbow strike into the man's exposed throat. As the man bent forward gagging, Naruto finished him with a knee strike to the jaw, sending the man falling backward to the ground, unconscious. Naruto dusted off his hands before turning to Haruno with a bored expression on his face, and asked, is that all? In a bored tone. The now enraged Haruno shrieked in rage before charging the blonde, slashing wildly with his knife. Naruto easily caught the man's wrist, and delivered a quick twist to it, causing the man to drop his knife. Catching the blade with his free hand, Naruto then delivered a sweep kick combined with a throw to send Haruno to the ground on his back. Naruto then stood over the now downed man with his own knife raised over his head. With a shriek of terror from the now horrified Haruno, Naruto brought the blade down towards his throat. Thank you. The blade had buried itself held deep into the dirt beside the newly fainted Haruno's neck. Naruto sniffed in disgust, as he noticed a small puddle that had formed between the now fainted Haruno's legs. Pathetic. He muttered, as he stood back up, and continued on his journey to the Sumisu shop, leaving the three unconscious men in the street. He noticed that the civilians had stopped their muttering, and now gave him a wide berth. Naruto smiled at this. These idiots will soon learn that I'm not gonna take their abuse anymore without payback. Thought the young Yuratha. Kyuubi only smirked within her cage, proud of her container's new attitude. Naruto, she thought, you are growing into a true Yuratha, a proud warrior who will not be pushed around by anyone, and only shows respect to those who've earned it. You're also starting to show signs of becoming a worthy mate. She finished with a nearly invisible lecherous grin while licking her lips. Naruto soon arrived at his friend's store. It was a red building without any decoration or ornamentation. The only sign that it was even his store was the small red sign above the door, that had Sumisu written on it in deep red letters with a single kunai, and shuriken replacing the eye. This wasn't for lack of effort on the owner's part, but a strategy to attract only the customers the owners wanted. The Sumisu shop dealt only in the highest quality ninja weapons, tools, equipment, and training scrolls. Every member of the Sumisu family was an expert in the art of forging, maintaining, and/or using weapons, and they'd be dead before they would ever let any of their goods fall into undeserving hands. So they kept the shop's outward appearance simple, in order to discourage civilians who wanted to have a fancy-looking decoration, and not a battle-ready tool. They only sold to actual shinobi, serious academy students, and others like them. The family also refused to deal with any of the Naruto haters among the populace. Tenten's father, Tsuchi Sumisu, had gone as far as to hunt down and nearly beat to death a shinobi who had bought a sword from the clan and had attempted to use it to harm Naruto. That memory brought a smile to the boy's lips as he entered the shop. He looked around and saw a woman at the counter. He smiled and waved at her. Hi Teki-san, good morning. Tenten's mother looked like a full-grown version of her daughter, except her eyes were sea green instead of Tenten's chocolate brown, and her face was a little softer. The woman looked up at the voice and, after taking a moment to recognize the changed blonde, smiled and said, "Morning, Naruto-kun, are you here to see Tenten?" she asked. Naruto nodded before saying, "That, and I need to do some shopping. I've gone through a sudden growth spurt, as you can see, and need some new clothes." I've also gained a couple weapons, and wanted to buy some training scrolls for them. The blonde finished indicating his new bow, and the small rod on the back of his belt. Hayo nodded her head. Well, I'll let Tenten help you with the shopping. She's upstairs right now doing a bit of prep work before she has to go meet her new team in a few hours. The woman looked sadly at Naruto. I heard about what happened, and you not being able to take the exams. Tenten was crushed when she found out you two weren't going to be on a team together. She then got a wary look in her eye. I've also heard rumors about an encounter with some villagers earlier, and you've learned a certain secret. If you're referring to the fox, then yes, I know about it. I wanted to thank both you and your husband for treating me so kindly despite my condition, said Naruto with a bow. Hayo simply waved her hand at him. You're you, and the fox is the fox. Anyone who can't see otherwise is an idiot. She explained calmly, and then she asked, are you going to tell Tenten? It's one of the reasons I came to see her and Lee today. They're my dearest friends, and I only hope Naruto trails off while looking away. They will. Hayo confirmed confidently before turning away. I'll go get my daughter. Wait there for Mainu, please. Before she headed up the stairs behind him. Naruto did, as the woman instructed, and waited for his female friend. His newly enhanced ears caught the sound of Hayo moving up the stairs, a brief message to her daughter, and then the sound of much hurrying and scraping as a young woman came barreling down the steps. As she got to the bottom, she stopped and stared at the changes that had overtaken her old friend. Naruto took this moment to look over his female friend. She wasn't that much taller than Naruto before his transformation, standing at about 5'5", but she kept her body in good shape, and she was very pretty, at least in Naruto's opinion. She had deep chocolate brown eyes, a soft face that showed her heritage, deep brown hair worn into two buns at the top of her head, which Naruto always found cute and would constantly tease her about them. She wore a pink sleeveless Chinese shirt and a pair of deep blue shinobi pants. Across her back she carried a half-dozen scrolls that Naruto knew kept in her weapon collection, each one of which she was a deadly master in using. Naruto also noted she wore her new leaf headband across her forehead, and, physically with canon clothes except for the scrolls. He always remembered how pretty his old friend looked. Though he would never admit that he had a bit of a crush on her, he wouldn't risk their friendship by acting on it. Tenten started to speak after a moment, and this brought Naruto out of his trance. Naruto, is that really you? She asked. Naruto grinned at her shocked look. The one and only Ten-chan. What, do I really look that different? He said with his characteristic foxy grin. Tenten smiled at her friend's usual goofy attitude before walking forward and hugging him. This display of affection caught them both by surprise. Tenten blushed before saying, I mean me and Lee were so worried about you after I heard what happened to those ex-instructors, and that you were hospitalized. What happened anyway? She asked with a worried look on her face, nearly replacing her blush at her earlier misstatement. I promise I'll explain everything to you after we meet up with Guy-sensei and Lee. By the way, who was assigned as your third team member? Naruto asked curiously. Tenten developed a frown. Niji Hyuga. She answered. She had been looking forward to being on the same team as Naruto. She developed a bit of a crush on the optimistic blonde when he had helped her in the academy when they first met, and she hoped serving on the same team would allow them to see just how strong their feelings for each other were. Naruto understood his friend's foul mood. Niji Hyuga was the rookie of the year in their graduating class, and one of the most arrogant pricks he had ever met. The guy seemed to have both a superiority and inferiority complex going on at the same time. He constantly spoke about how everything was controlled by fate. He often talked down to him and Lee, saying their efforts to improve themselves were futile, since they were both fated to remain losers. This had earned him Naruto's instant hatred, since the blonde never believed in stuff like fate. Some of Naruto's fondest memories of the year were pranking the arrogant ass. Ouch. I really pity you two now. You guys have a team meeting today? Questioned the blonde. Yeah, in about 4 hours at the usual training ground. Tenten answered. Good, that means we have about an hour before Guy and Lee show up for a youthful warm-up. Naruto stated, and Tenten nodded. They had both realized that Guy and, through imitating his idol, Lee always arrived 3 hours before training officially began. At that time, would you mind helping pick out some new clothes and equipment? I could really use your expertise. Naruto requested. Finally getting rid of the Kulmi orange jumpsuits. Questioned Tenten. She hated those things and offered to buy Naruto some replacements herself, but the blonde always refused. He said he wanted to hold off until graduation for an image change. Yup, they just don't fit anymore, and I'm tired of playing the fool. Naruto agreed before adding, I also need some help picking a couple new weapon training scrolls. I've recently come into possession of a couple new pieces of equipment that I want to master. Naruto said, indicating his bow, and then the rod on his back. Well, I know we have a couple of training scrolls on Kickman the back, but I've never seen a rod like that before. What does it do? She asked. Naruto smirked as he demonstrated Wolfsing's different abilities and functions. Tenten was awestruck by the weapon's versatility. She even asked if she could test it for a moment, and Naruto happily agreed. After going through the motions with the weapons, Tenten was even more impressed with the blade. It was perfect in every sense of the word. The blades of both the crescents and spears were razor sharp, the shaft was strong and solid without adding extra weight, and the handle fitted perfectly into the wielder's hands. When she separated and reattached the staff ends, she was even more impressed by the ease of the motions. This weapon is a masterpiece, Tenten said in awe, as she reluctantly returned it to Naruto, who nodded in agreement. I said the same thing when I first wielded it. So do you know of any scrolls that could help me train with it? Asked the blonde. Tenten seemed to think for a moment before she got an idea. The thing is that this is a one-of-a-kind weapon, but I know of 3 different weapons that each resemble part of that one. There's the double blade Yori, and the monk's spade. She then leads the blonde to a wall filled with poems. There was a double-headed weapon with the same crescent moon-shaped blades as his wolf's fang. The double blade Yori was the same with its broad double-edged spearhead. Lastly, the monk's spade was slightly different. While one end appeared the same as the crescent blade, the other was a flattened bell-shaped blade. Naruto guessed the weapon worked just like when wolves fanged one of each head out, using the bell head for precision strikes and the crescent head for broad strikes. After Naruto examined each weapon, Tenten spoke again. I think you should study each one so you can master the blade in all its forms. I know we have scrolls on each, and they all take note of separable end pieces, Tenten finished proudly. Naruto nodded his head in agreement. Granted, it would take a lot of work to master 3 weapons at once, and then learn to interchange the styles and combine them, but Naruto knew that the best things came from hard work. He smiled before saying, that takes care of the weapon scrolls. Now all I need are some new clothes. Tenten nodded as she dragged her friend over to the clothing section of the shop. After spending nearly the entire hour trying on clothes and getting Tenten's opinion, Naruto had made his decision. He had decided to add bits of each of his senses into his new look. He chose some khaki brown ninja pants, a deep green short-sleeve shirt, a pair of dark shinobi sandals, and a tan overcoat similar to Anko's. He also chose a pair of dull orange bracers that ended just before his wrists that reminded him of Gai-sensei's leg warmers, and wrapped some bandages on both his lower legs and upper arms near the elbow, like Iruka-sensei wore. When he exited the changing room in his new attire, Tenten whistled. The look really worked for him. It gave him a wild look that she thought suited the blonde's personality. With his new attire decided, Naruto grabbed another 4 pairs of everything he decided for his new look, as well as the 5 scrolls Tenten had selected for his weapon study. 2 were for kicking, one focusing on long-range sniping, and the other focusing on normal archery techniques. The other 3 were introductory scrolls on each of the 3 weapons Tenten had shown him. All the scrolls contained R2 to combine with the new weapon. Naruto paid for his new equipment, though Hayo insisted on him taking the clothing as an early birthday gift, and the 2 shinobi departed to meet up with Guy and Lee at Training Ground 24. Naruto and Tenten arrived at the training ground a short time later. It was a standard Konoha training ground with equal parts forest and open land. It also had a small lake near the southern edge, and a large number of training dummies near the center, that were currently being brutally beaten by the oddest pair of creatures one could ever find. The larger of the 2 was a tall, well-muscled man about 6'1", with deep black hair cut into a bowl cut, a pair of gigantic eyebrows, strong hard-cut features, and a toothy smile. He wore a full-body green bodysuit, a standard vest, blue ninja sandals, a pair of orange leg warmers, and a leaf headband tied around his waist as a belt. The other was like a smaller version of the larger one, standing at about 5'8", with features so similar one would think them father and son rather than student and teacher. The only differences were that the younger man's features were a little softer. He wore bandages wrapped around his wrists and forearms, and his vest was a simple ninja vest without any marks of rank. These 2 creatures were Mito Guy and Rock Lee. The 2 turned and looked at the approaching figures. Both instantly recognized Tenten, but it took them a moment to realize that it was Naruto walking beside her. Lee instantly ran forward and greeted his best friend rival, Naruto. It is good to see you, my rival, and it seems your flames of youth are burning even brighter to have caused such a change in your body. Lee shouted happily while entering his good guy pose, and flashing them both a toothy grin. Indeed, my youthful student, your fellow youthful student, must surely have entered a new and more youthful era in his already youthful life. Agreed Guy loudly. Both Naruto and Tenten sighed at the volume of their friend and older mentor. Both had gotten used to the high volume and love of the word youthful that comprised Guy and Lee's way of speaking, but it was still annoying. It's good to see both of you, said Naruto before he got serious. I wanted to explain what happened to me to you 3 first, since I trust you guys plus Anko and Iruka-sensei the most. But first I have a very important secret that both Lee and Tenten need to hear, but I think you already know it. Guy-sensei, Naruto said while looking at Guy with a calm yet serious expression on his face. Guy nodded his head. He'd heard from the village that Naruto now knew about the fox being sealed inside him, and he guessed that it was the secret that he wanted to reveal to Lee and Tenten. Guy was proud that his student trusted both his friends with the truth, and he was certain that both would accept him for who he was. Both Lee and Tenten were curious about what had caused their usually jovial teammate to become so serious. Naruto turned his eyes to his two dearest friends and explained, "Guys, this secret is an S-class village secret that I need both of you to swear that you will not reveal to anyone. A law by the third states that anyone other than me who discloses it will be executed. Do you guys understand?" Both Lee and Tenten were surprised by the level of secrecy that surrounded this secret, but both nodded their heads for Naruto to show that they understood. Naruto put on a determined look and pushed away the fears that were rising in his belly. It was now or never. You see, Naruto started 15 years ago when the Kyuubi attacked the village. Naruto told them everything about how the fox was sealed inside him at birth. Both Tenten and Lee were shocked by the revelation of their friend's life. Tenten spoke shakily, so that's why she stopped before finishing. Naruto nodded before speaking again. "Now that you guys know the truth, I'll understand if you don't want to be near me anymore." Naruto's sentence was cut off as he was hugged by Tenten. "Don't be an idiot. You're you, and the fox is the fox. We would never abandon you for such a stupid reason," she said into his shoulder without letting him go. "Tenten is correct, Naruto. We are your friends through and through. Anyone who can't see past the fox is the epitome of youthfulness," Lee stated while putting a hand on his friend's shoulder. Naruto could only smile as he returned Tenten's hug. "Thank you," he whispered softly. His friends only smiled as Tenten released her hug. Bai was proud of his students, and he sorely wished they had gotten to form a team together. They would have made a perfect combat trio. Lee could have handled the close-range fighting, and Tenten handling mid to long range with her weapons. Naruto was the perfect support member, moving between close range with his own taijutsu, and mid to long range with his skill with ninjutsu. He had even gone so far as to complain to the Hokage himself about letting Naruto take a makeup, since it wasn't the boy's fault he'd missed the test, but Sarutobi had been adamant about not showing favoritism to his grandson, and forced the man to take the Hyuga onto his team in Naruto's place. Bai didn't have a problem boy, and he wouldn't begrudge him for taking Naruto's spot, but he was sure the boy's arrogance would negatively affect their teamwork. Now that that's out of the way, I wanted to tell you guys about what happened the night I was attacked. Naruto started speaking again, and everyone's attention was again riveted to the blonde boy, as he explained Mizuki's attack on him with the other ex-Chunin, getting an angry look from the others, and how he'd been told the secret. He then told him about the first change, how he'd met Luna and the Kyuubi. When he explained what had happened between him and the Kyuubi, everyone else was shocked. He asked Guy not to tell the Hokage, unless he was directly ordered to, and he agreed, trusting his student's judgment. As he finished explaining his new bloodline, and the abilities it had, the others were amazed. "Yosh!" shouted Anao excitedly, "This new bloodline of yours is surely an embodiment of your youthful spirit, my friend. I can't wait to face it in a sparring match." "Mitsubishi brows," agreed Naruto before continuing, "but I want to wait a while until I can master how to use it," the blonde explained, getting an understanding nod from his friends. "Well, if you need any help practicing with those new weapons, let me know, okay?" stated Tenten smiling. "The same goes for both me and my youthful apprentice, if you want to practice your new forms of taijutsu," said Guy in his good guy pose, which Lee soon followed. Naruto only smiled and nodded at his friends. The three continued to talk, with Guy occasionally adding his opinion, but otherwise simply happily watching his three students talk about changes that had occurred over the past 2 weeks, and on how Naruto's next term in the academy would go. Naruto had accepted the fact, and stated that he could use the time to completely master his new bloodline. His friends agreed that it was a good idea. He also explained his plan to enter the shadow, after he got the basics down to earn some new gift, and Guy told him it would be best to tell the Hokage about his plans beforehand, so the old man wouldn't send on a needless search. Naruto agreed reluctantly. Both his friends and Guy understood about the fallout between him and the old man, and agreed the Hokage had no right to keep Kyuubi a secret from the blonde. As the four continued their discussion and planning meeting to train together, even if they weren't an official team, they were still friends and wanted to continue practicing together. Naruto's nose picked up a scent approaching them. He alerted his friends, and the three stopped their discussion and looked toward the incoming presence. Out of the trees came a figure about the same height as Lee, maybe a bit taller. He had shoulder-length black hair and a calm face. He wore a short-sleeved jacket and a pair of black shorts. He had bandages across one of his legs and arms, and had a kunai shuriken holster strapped on the same leg. Man. Again Shippuden body with cannon clothes. The most shocking part of him were his eyes. They were slate gray with no pupil visible, announcing him as a Hyuga, one Nichi Hyuga to be exact. The Hyuga looked at the group before scowling at the blonde. "What are you doing here, failure?" he asked in a snide voice. "I have just as much right to use a training ground and speak to my friends as you do, guys," Naruto responded coldly, using his favorite nickname for the arrogant Hyuga. The Hyuga's scowl deepened. "Be that as it may, we have a team meeting to attend, so I believe a failure who couldn't even show up for the exams should simply leave." Though I am not happy being placed on a team with a talentless fool who can't perform even the most basic of tasks, and a girl who relies solely on toys to win her battles. The Hyuga responded icily. Tenten and Lee both growled at the insults, but Naruto chuckled and stated, "That's some big talk from a weakling who believes that everything is predestined and doesn't have the strength to fight it." With that said, he turned and bid his goodbyes to his friends and teacher, who all returned the gesture before the blonde took off, leaving behind a very pissed Niji and a snickering Tenten and Lee. As Naruto continued to leap through the woods on his search to find a private spot to train in his new powers, he noticed something. It was an odd tingling in the back of his nose, like a scent without a smell. "Kyuubi, what's going on?" he asked his totem. The fox spirit quickly answered, "You're picking up the scent of a locust nearby." Naruto grew excited, then replied, "Should we investigate?" "Yes, but be cautious. Locusts in the physical world are often guarded by spirits who make them their homes to draw power from the essence they generate. So you may have to fight for it. Don't worry about harming an innocent spirit. Any spirit that spends a lot of time in the material world is either corrupted by it or is corrupting it." The fox responded. Naruto nodded. Kyuubi had explained earlier how spirits that entered the mortal world were usually either corrupted by their surroundings and driven mad, or they were manipulative beings that stayed there to help empower themselves by affecting and controlling mortals. Either way, it was his duty to take it down before it attempted to harm his home. Thanks for watching my video, and make sure to check out the author of this fanfic. Link is in the description. See you next time. Till then, sayonara.